as you can see, I'm in my pantry today, and I wanted to talk to you about some foods that you should have a stock of in your pantry. If you want to have pantry preparedness, then these are some things that you're going to need. And the first thing I'm going to suggest that you have is honey. Honey never goes bad, and all of these things are going to be things that will last long term on your shelf. So you want to make sure that you get some honey on your shelf. That's an alternative sweetener. Of course, now sugar is another one that you're going to want to stock. Sugar never goes bad, and so you could have that on your shelf. Stevia is an alternative, and molasses is an alternative. These are all sweeteners that'll last for a long time. And, if we go through a major recession or depression, some of these things might be missing on the shelf in the grocery store, or they may be so expensive that we can't afford them. So those are some things that I would suggest that you have on your shelf. Now, another thing going along the lines of having a sweet is cocoa. Cocoa is another thing that never is going to go bad. If you keep this stuff in a cool, dark place, then it'll last some of these things will last indefinitely. Some of them, at least 10 years or 20 years. So, and then after that, I'm going to suggest that you have some grains, and I'm talking about wheat berries and some quinoa, some of the ancient grains, and then also some oat groats. Not just your rolled oats. Rolled oats will last a long time, but if you have the oat groats, they last longer. And then also some instant coffee and instant tea and instant cocoa. Those things are going to last indefinitely. Instant coffee is freeze-dried. It will last forever. And then vanilla extract. If you're going to make desserts, you need some vanilla extract, and that's never going to go bad if you get the real stuff. And then you're going to want some things like vinegar and Worcestershire sauce, both apple cider vinegar and some white distilled vinegar, because you're going to need those in your canning processes, but you can also use those for medicinal and cleaning and all kinds of things like that. So those are some good things to have. And then also some dried beans. A lot of people say they don't like beans, but you can do so much. I mean, if you've got some kind of beans, you can have just regular beans. You could have chili out of it. You could have taco soup. And then in order to get those, you're going to have some seasonings. So you definitely want to make sure that you've got some salt and pepper. Salt's never going to go bad. Pepper's going to last a long, long time. And then your other seasonings, if you get those and put them in vacuum seal them, put them in a good, dry, dark place, they're going to last a lot of years. And so you want to make sure that you've got those seasonings. And then make sure you've got some white rice. Now, if you want the brown rice, stock that for you to use over the next few months. But if you want something long term, then get the white rice. It doesn't have the oils in it to go rancid like the other rices do. And so you're going to want to do that. Another thing you're going to want is some maple syrup. I mean, if you're, for breakfast, nothing better than a pancake or a waffle for breakfast with some good maple syrup on it. And you can also use maple syrup to sweeten other things. I know my husband will take real maple syrup and pour it in peanut butter and stir it up and eat it. So, and another thing as far as sweets is concerned is Jell-O. The Jell-O powder will last forever. I know they've got Best By dates on them in the grocery store, but that's just Best By. If you keep them longer than that, the nutritional value may decrease a little bit, but they're not going bad. And then also another thing is instant potatoes. Instant potatoes is the same thing. It has a Best By date on it, but as long as it's stored properly, put it in Mylar bags. I'll show you at some point how to do that. keep your food in Mylar bags, put you an oxygen absorber in it, and it's going to last forever. Maybe not forever, but at least, 10 or 15 or 20 years before you would eat it before then. And so you also want to keep some popcorn or some dried corn. Popcorn in itself is a good snack, but you can also grind popcorn to make cornmeal. And so you would have another bread alternative by doing that. And so then also have some pasta. Pour your pasta in a quart jar or half-gallon jar, put you an oxygen absorber and maybe even a moisture absorber in it. Keep it in a cool, dry place, dark place, and that's going to last for many, many years. And so then also, I mentioned salt. Salt never goes bad. When you store your salt and your sugar, don't put oxygen absorbers in them. You don't want them to turn into a brick. Just put them in a safe place, in some Mylar, in jars with a lid on it, so that nothing can get to it. And you're going to have, those will last forever. I mean, they will never go bad. So, excuse me, make sure that you keep those. Now, this is not something that I keep in my pantry, but a lot of people do keep corn syrup. And corn syrup is another one of those sweeteners that, you can have that as an alternate sweetener. So also cornstarch, your baking needs. You're going to need some cornstarch if you're going to be, cooking, if you want to make gravy or something. Of course, if you've got flour, if you want to keep flour that's from the grocery store, you're going to need to bring it home and put it in the freezer. I put mine in the freezer for 3 days. I don't keep much of it, excuse me, but I do put it in the freezer for 3 days. And then I take it out and let it come to room temperature. And then I put it in vacuum sealer bags and vacuum seal it. And then I can store it in buckets or, in my pantry. And you don't have to worry about, bugs hatching or, getting something like that in it. And then also powdered milk. You want the non-fat. Make sure that anything you store it as non-fat, because fat will turn rancid after a while. That's like when you store nuts. I try to store nuts, but as a matter of fact, I'm going to do a project soon to show you all how I store nuts in jars. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. But anyway, if you just try to keep nuts for, just plain, they're going to go rancid in probably 9 months to a year. They're going to go rancid. So these are just some things that, I feel like that our parents and our grandparents during the war and the Depression, these were things they kept in their pantries because you could make a meal quickly with stuff like this. And if you wanted some shorter term things, you could have, some beef jerky or some turkey jerky, whatever, some jerky if you want meats. But those are not going to last as long as some of the other ones. And the good thing about having the different kinds of whole grains in your pantry is that you can actually cook that stuff just like if you would cook rice or oatmeal. You can put it on the stove and cook it and have, that as a cereal that you could either sweeten it or just put some butter and salt in it as a breakfast food. So, excuse me, these are all things. Some of your dried beans, those are high in protein, your lentils, and also you can get dried peas. You can see up here in the corner right there, that is dried peas that I've canned, and the process is just exactly like if I was canning dried beans. And so, these are all things that will help you to get through an emergency. So, make sure you've got some of these things in your pantry. And, of course, if it's something that you don't eat, my kids and grandkids will eat rice, but my husband and I just don't eat a whole lot of rice, so I keep some, but I don't keep a huge amount. But I do have a lot of grains, and of course you can see behind me, these are my shelves that I work from. They're what I pull from, you know, on a daily, because it's right next to my kitchen. And so it's what I pull from regularly when I'm cooking. But keep pantry stocked. Your canned foods, like what I have behind me, are going to last you, depending on what it is. Now, if it's like tomatoes and things like that, I think probably about 2 years is the most I keep mine, because they start to turn dark in the jars after that. Sometimes they won't, but sometimes they will. But other things I've kept for 3 to 5 years, and they'll be real good and still, you know, they've not changed colors or anything like that. So anyway, so just wanted to cover that with you today, and we'll be back again this week with some other videos. So stay tuned. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe so you'll get the notices, and like the videos if you like them. And, you know, if there's something that you would like to see on this channel, cooking or canning, or anything to do with the kitchen for that matter, then leave it in the comments and we'll see what we can do about doing that for you. Until the next time, God bless you.